Hi, I'm Tom Stephenson and welcome to Microsoft Project Made Easy. Today we're going to be talking about how to customize the wording or the information that is on your Gantt chart. I've been getting a lot of questions about, I don't want to show the resources. I especially don't want to show the dollar amounts, and I'd like to see dates, or I'd like to see the activity names or something else. And so there is a way to customize that. So we're going to look at that. We're also going to look at how you can create a deadline that would show up on your Gantt chart. I've kind of really downplayed putting in constraints because they cause a lot of problems in your schedule because they lock everything up. So we're going to talk about how you can put a deadline that doesn't lock up your schedule. If you're new to Microsoft Project, it may be better for you to go back into my playlist on the YouTube channel. I have from the very beginning to very sophisticated areas of Microsoft Project. And if you're new to Microsoft Project, just go to the playlist, start on video 1, and start to work your way through. I have 2 playlists, one Microsoft Project Tips and the other one Microsoft Project. And you'll find Microsoft Project has longer videos that just go straight through it, about 9 videos. And then I have a whole pile of other videos that gets into a little bit more complex things or shows you how to do the basics again from a different perspective. So also, please don't forget to click subscribe and the notifications so you can keep up to date with new things that come out and new ideas and feedback from your comments. All right, let's get down to it. So we have this naming here, and this is just coming up automatically. This schedule is a resource cost loaded schedule, which means that I've created a resource table, and under the resource table, I've created a bunch of resources and costs, and I've assigned them to the project. So that's why then it starts to show up on the right side typically, and people are saying, well, maybe I don't want that, or maybe I want to show something else. Where do I go to customize that? You can go under the Format tab. So along the top of your screen, Task, Resource, Report, Project View. Go to Format, and you see where it says Format, the actual icon. Pull it down, pick bar styles, wait a few seconds, it'll pop up, and now you can decide how you want things to appear. Now, I talked in a previous video how you can change the color of this stuff and all sorts of stuff with the bars, and even their standard color changes that you can do. I usually keep to the default, to be honest. I don't get too fancy, plus I'm a little colorblind, so that doesn't help. But at any rate, the bars, you'll see there's a tab text. Okay, text. Now you see it says to the right, resource names. Well, that's why we see over to the right here exactly what's in our resource column. So it's just telling you what resource you've assigned to it. And you'll notice it says left, right, top, bottom, inside. That means that you could have text to the left, you could have text over top, you could even have it inside the bars. So you have a lot of choices what you want to put. Maybe you want to put even more than one thing. That's a possibility. But I would suggest if we go to the right, maybe you just want to have the actual name of the task. If you know the actual first letter of whatever the column is called, that can be helpful. So I'm just going to go straight to name. I typed N. That brought up all the columns, potential columns with N, and I'm going to click OK. But right now, just so you know, I'm just in the task, right? So you'd think that's going to change everything. Well, it doesn't. So that's going to probably frustrate some people. So I'm just going to go OK. And you notice that all the blue ones changed. All the blue ones changed. Install Finish HVAC, install Finish HVAC. And it was only called the one with name, not task name. So don't ask me why that is, but that's, oh, see it's got it in brackets. That's why. See that, so they also refer to it as just name. Okay, but you have to know these things when you're searching it. Otherwise, you got to play around with it for a bit. All right, so let's go back. And what I would also like to see is all these red ones, because they didn't change, right? All the red ones, which are the critical tasks. So you have to know the red ones are the critical tasks. Those are the longest path through your project. And so you go looking for critical, right? And if we look down here, there it is. It'd be nice if they put it alphabetically, but that's besides the point. So if I go critical, click there, and so I got critical. I want to change the text, and maybe I want to put beside that, I want to put name as well. So I'll just type N and I'll click OK. And then that changes all of them. So now I've got these activities all there. Now I've had a lot of people too say, all right, for the milestones, I also want to have the actual name. So I'm going to go back to bar styles, wait for it to appear, go down to where it says milestones, right? So I'm going to say, let's see, milestones. All right, so I'm going to go text, that's the milestone, anything with this shape. And in the text, it says task finish. So it's got the task finish date. You know what? I'm going to put the task finish date on the left. All right, so I'll go task and we'll scroll down maybe, or we'll put finish date. Probably there, it'd be under finish date. Finish. Okay. And I'm going to put that to the left. And here on the right, maybe I'm going to put the task name like I did before. So I'll type N for name, press enter, and let's see what happens there. So we got that. And so you see the date came on the left, and on the right, it's got inspections approved, which is the task name. Okay, so now I've got the date on the left, and I've got, except I spelt it wrong. I can fix that. That will fix this. So we'll go inspections. As I fix this, it should fix that, see? So we have those connected, and now I've customized it to the way I want. If you just wanted to have dates to the right, and you didn't want the names, you could do that as well. I do get people though, this is the other area I was going to discuss. You see under resource names, it's got all these costs. And remember before when I had it under resource, it had costs. Not too thrilled with showing the costs, perhaps, because maybe I want to print it and I don't want to have the costs there. I haven't figured out a way to separate the laborers and the 300% or the costs in what it displays. Perhaps there is a way, and if you know, I'm more than happy if you put it in the comments to share that. But the workaround for me is you can go insert column. I think I've used some of these texts for the same thing, but I'll just put text. I'm going to put text 1 and a text column, right? A text column, you can basically customize your columns when you create them. So I could actually change this. I double clicked on the top. I'm going to call it resource names, right? Resource names, and I'm going to, because I think I already created that, I'm going to call it resource names 1. How's that? All right, so at least I can distinguish it. All right, so this is the name of the column I created. Now, this is a little bit laborious. It's a workaround. I just wish you could shut it off and get rid of the costs, etc. But you can customize it, so that's the good thing about it. I'm just going to select everything on the top, right-click, copy. So I just copied all my resource names. And then I am going to go to the next column. You could go Control V, or you could go paste, and then that pastes all those names in there. Now, what it means is though, you've got to go in now and customize it. So the nice thing about this, doing it this way, I suspect, is that at least you could, I just started to take that out. At least say I wanted to show, well, the project managers assigned 50% to this. Maybe I want to keep that, right? Maybe I want to keep that I've got 3 laborers or 300% assigned to this, but maybe I don't want the money. Well, then I could just go in and I could just get rid of the money on these particular line items, right? So I could go in and I could get rid of the money on these particular line items one by one. Maybe I want the next one where it's got square feet. Maybe I want to keep that one of the 20,000. That's the only thing I would say is it's a little bit laborious at first when you're setting this up. Keep the 400% because I want to show that I plan to have 4 laborers there, but it is customizable. So that's the nice thing about a text column. By the way, this text column could be for anything. Maybe there's something you want to put in there that says yes and no, and you decide yes and no to whatever the answer is to that column name. So you can customize with many different, if I go insert column, type text, many different text columns. So you can do whatever you want with those, rename them, etc., however you want. That's not a problem. Okay, so I've created this. What am I trying to do here? Let's see. Well, I've got that. Now I don't have that. So if I was going to print something and I just wanted to, or save it in a PDF, and I only wanted to show the resources, then I could just save it as showing this instead of showing the costs, right? So I could do that way. The other thing I could also do, because I've created this column now, resource names 1. So I created this. I could go back and I could say, all right, let's go where we were, format, go to format bar styles, wait for the bar to come up, and then I could say, all right, so where am I with tasks? I'm going to go to text, all right, and I'm going to say to the right, I'm going to type R for resources, look for resource names 1. All right, so that's the one I called it under the text 1 column, resource names 1. And I'm going to put that in, and that's going in for all of the blue bars, right? So these ones should show resources then. And it doesn't show the money under them. It just shows what's in here. And then I would do the same thing again for bar styles, for my critical activities. Again, I would slide down here. And go to my critical activities, I think. All right, go to text, and I've got the date and the name. I want to put again resource names 1 text, and click OK. And now I put it in there. Again, no money showing, right? And I can do that on my milestone names if I want to, if I don't want to have inspector showing as the, well, I've already got the inspector showing as the resource for the milestone, I think, because I had that done. But you can see how you can structure this and set it up and customize it. By the way, one I didn't show you was maybe the summary tasks. You can go again for summary, and if you added some resources to the summary task and you'd like to see them over there because you want to know that your project manager is assigned 50% to the project, go to summary, go to text, go to write, and go to resource name, right? So again, we would just type that resource name 1, click OK, and now I see it on my summary task bars as well. So that's how you can customize that. You want specific dates, you can put specific dates. Now the other thing that I wanted to show you today was deadlines. So I've told you in other videos, really do not get into putting constraints on your project. Try to avoid it. A constraint shows up on the indicator column. That's that nice little I column indicator, which is, you'll find it on the entry view. You can insert it in any view, by the way. Right click, type insert column, and type I. It's under the indicators, right? So again, you can put double columns the same. I don't know why you would, but you can delete it from view. It tells you anything going on in that column, right? So it's really helpful for showing you stuff. And I've told you that, it's not great to pick a constraint, just to pick a chart, to start or finish, or to put constraints on your project. So say you said move the task, keep the link. Tom always says to have everything linked. So you do that, click OK, and it puts a constraint, right? And if I hover over that, start no earlier than constraint. So if that had been a critical task item, that would have turned blue because it'd be saying, well, it's locking up your schedule. If I shorten this, right? If I shorten this by a couple of days, it pulls everything else back, and see, it loses its critical path, so then it doesn't indicated anymore. It acts kind of funny, the program, to be honest, when it does have constraints put in it, which I find extremely annoying. Plus, I don't like to have dates locked in, because in construction anyways, nothing ever goes exactly as planned. I want to see the impacts of things. That's the point. I develop a plan, I update it, I check it, I monitor. I want to see, oh, what's this going to impact? And then I can adjust it. I iterate the plan. Basically, project management 101. You've got to iterate, iterate, iterate. So I don't like constraints, but I do like to know, like I agree with you. You want to know, is something, I want a flag, I want a warning. All right, so let's get rid of the constraint. Double click on rough-in plumbing. It brings up the task information box. You probably won't get advanced like I am, but there's the advanced tab. And then let's get rid of the constraint. A constraint is any one of these, except when we've scheduled from the start date going forward, as soon as possible is the same as no constraint. That's the default. Let's get back to there. It'll get rid of this checkered box. So I don't like when I see checkered boxes over here. I'm not going to say never. Sometimes when you're updating, you got a change order or something, you put it in. It might make sense, but rarely. All right. So how do I put in a sort of flag to say something is up or something is occurring? How can I indicate that on my project? What would be the best way for me to indicate that on my project? And let me just maybe just adjust this one here a little bit. There. Just need to regenerate the screen to bring back the critical path. That's all I was doing there. Sometimes that will happen that way. Something else is locking it up with indicating the critical path. Okay, so I've got that fixed up. Now, let's take a look. If I double click on an activity, I don't know, let's say drywall second side, that's critical, yeah, okay. So let's put a deadline on it. So again, I'm gonna go to that advanced tab, and the advanced tab, you notice it says deadline. It's got that deadline there. This is kind of good in the sense that it doesn't really constrain the activity. It just gives you like a flag, a warning, like this down arrow that's can be used as a warning. So it says not applicable because I haven't put it. All right, so let's see. When's this finishing? This is finishing on February 28th. Okay, so 22, I'm assuming. So let's go February 28th, 2022. There we go. And there's the deadline. Now I'm going to click. Oh, actually, let's make the deadline. Maybe we got a deadline that is a couple of days past that, because it's really important, but we got a deadline that's a couple of days past that. So let's say March 30th. So back over here, I don't know if you can see that, but there's this little down arrow over here, right? So there's this down arrow over here. And that's saying that's your deadline. That's giving you a flag that you see that that's your deadline. By the way, you can change the color if you want that to stand out more. As I said, I'm colorblind, so maybe I wouldn't see that. I could always go to that Format tab, Bar Styles. There should be one for deadline if I remember. I'm doing this a little bit on the fly here. There it is, deadline. All right. You can pick whatever you want to be, the indicator, the icon that would show the deadline, and you could pick whatever color that you might like. So if I made it bright yellow, maybe I might see it a little bit better. So it's there. Actually, I don't think I see that better, but anyways, you can pick something that pops a little bit for you. And so what happens though, remember the indicator column? Well, what happens, say something back here is taking a lot longer than you expected. I don't know, maybe the inspections aren't passing or something, there's some issue there. And this pulls out like 23 days or something like that. So it's changing things substantially. I'll get that so that it pulls it out a little bit more. I think we pulled it a lot later than the actual date where that was, March 9th. So let's try that again. 35 days. You can see it's moving along. Guess it's a lot further along than I thought with that, but let's see. As soon as it crossed that deadline bar here, it brought up a flag. This task goes past its deadline on March 30th. So as soon as this goes by, you would see this sort of icon appear in your indicator column. So if stuff is pushing this out further and further on your project as you're going through the updating process, then you would see that flag appear that you've broached that deadline, and then it's going to start to appear to the left of your activities once it comes out of there. So that would give you a flag early on. Like if you're back here and it becomes a problem, you would see it sooner rather than later. You could even put, like on your milestones, you could put deadlines, right? So that then it flags once your milestone moves, key dates. You're not going to put it on every activity. That's just too much work. But I mean, it doesn't really make sense either. You can track your activities. But if there's something coming up that's like you're really concerned if it moves, that would be a concern. I've also found that this is useful. Say you had a activity that's maybe not even critical, but you're having a meeting with a consultant that's flying in from Germany to discuss the intricacies of this data center equipment that's going to be installed. And if you don't make that meeting, it will delay things by a month. So it's not critical. Maybe it's got 20 days flexibility, right? But if something happens that meeting doesn't take place, that individual can't come back for another month. Well, maybe you want to flag that's really like important. You could put a deadline on it so that it like will sort of, because it may only move a couple of days, but meanwhile now it's impacting your project, right? Like, so you can follow it that way. Deadlines are helpful as a tool, and they don't constrict your project. That's the thing I like about that. So that's what I wanted to cover today, was just those customizations, how you can sort of do a workaround just to tie that back again. So this way you're hiding, you've still got that resource column. I never got rid of it, right? So resource names, that shows you all the stuff. If you want to see the numbers there, you always can. But here you don't see the numbers. I could take out the 400 or 10,000 if I wanted to get rid of those ones, but it's a little bit laborious. It's a workaround, but it does solve that problem. If you want to be able to show the resources to the right, you can do that, right? You just have to customize it the way that you want to customize it. And again, you can have difference in what you're showing. Right now I'm showing metal studs, so I'm still showing here the activity names. Again, if I don't want the activity names shown, I can just go to bar styles under the critical path. I can go to where it says critical, follow it down wherever the critical is, and then basically click here, click text, and then say that I want the actual resource name that I created, names one. Put the one that you created, and then that should show them all on the resources. So you can adjust and customize that way. I hope you find that helpful in furthering your abilities with MS Project and customizations and really workarounds. Get used to figuring out little things to get yourself out of jams in Microsoft Project. It almost becomes fun that way when you figure out these little workarounds and remember them and document them. So I'm Tom Stephenson. I hope you found this helpful. Please don't forget to click subscribe and notifications, and check out my playlists on my YouTube channel. Lots of stuff there on construction. See you next time. Bye for now.